The Victorian Hyperloop, or Old World Transport. How's everyone doing, alright? Hope everyone's all gravy. I just want to start by saying thanks for the love and the support. One of my videos got shared. A few people are sharing my stuff, and it's quite flattering to know that people like it like that. So I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. At the moment I'm dealing with some technical problems. I've got no Wi-Fi at home at the moment, so I can't reply to messages. It's very hard for me to upload stuff. Very hard. But I won't bore you with all that. We'll get straight into it. London Pneumatic Dispatch Company. So it was formed on the 30th of June 1859 to design, build and operate an underground railway system for carrying of mail, parcels and light freight between locations in London. The system was used between 1863 and 1874. Let's have a look at the operation of these little feats of transport. So a permanent line of 2 foot narrow gauge was constructed between Euston Railway Station and North West District Post Office in Evershot Street. The distance of approximately 1/3 of a mile. I'm just going to jump in here and be completely honest with you. I, after doing all this research, believe that this pneumatic system was underneath or underground everywhere, and there's no records of it anywhere. So I believe they're just finding it as they do constructions and putting little stories next to it. And I believe that they found some in the 1850s and the post office used it. Office workers were getting their lunch sent to them. And people were also being shot around London like they're in a capsule out of Bill and Ted or something like that. But anyway, let's get back to it. Just goes on to say that the line was tested from the 15th of January to the 20th of February in 1863, and a capsule conveying up to 35 bags of mail could make a short journey between terminals in 1 minute. So this is at Holborn Station. This is people in the capsule. So I'll go into detail how it works in a bit. But basically it's like a vacuum packed, there's no air in it, and there's a little fan or a big fan that blows, and obviously you just get propelled down. So this is Holborn. So it's people having a look around. And this one was at Battersea. So that people used them for mail and to get about in as well. Here you can see a map, an underground of illustrated of an underground of the tube system, starting at East London, going towards Central London to the main General Post Office. And here you can see that it's got like elevators going down, not elevators, lifts, sorry. And this is 1870s. And this was a poor little kid. Looks like he's a little test subject getting shot through this capsule. Looks like he don't want to go in there really. Anyway, this is what I meant by building work going on. Looks like they've just cut straight into the middle of that. And when I mean by no records, this is what I mean. When you go and build something, you go and get the plans, you have a look what's around, see if there's any cables, gas pipes, water pipes or anything. So it's not recorded. There's just some crappy little story to go with it. A few people come together and built this system for the parcel force. But these now I personally believe they're a lot older. A heck of a lot older, because if you look at the block work, and I'm going to show you other places around the world a bit later on, but look at the block work. So this picture was taken in the early 1900s. 1900s. after it had ceased, and they're putting pipes down there. But look how old that looks now. Really, that should only be 40 years old. It's meant to be 40 years old. So this is one of the carts that would propel you through the tubes. And at the front there's like a little rubber stopper. It almost looks like a toy car really. But I think they found this one when I was doing an excavation. And it now sits in a museum. There we go. You see the little rubber bumpers at the front. God, you'd break your neck in that. I think they go about 30 miles an hour as well. You'd be brown bread. London Post Office Railway. Now the reason I want to talk about these cats is because these ones used half of their rail system, and it was a pneumatic railway system, and it was underground, and they've also got a separate railway system as well that links up to this. So let's have a little looky. Known as Mail Rail since 1987, it's a driverless underground railway, and it was built by the Post Office with assistance from Underground Electric Railway Companies of London, and it transported mail between sorting offices, and it was inspired by Chicago Tunnel Company. Opened in 1927, operated for 76 years and closed down. There we go. And this is one of the pneumatic tubes that was to carry passengers. So you could fit about 16 people in there. General Post Office, London. Now the reason I'm going through these buildings is because these are all linked up underground, which I find remarkable in itself. Like you have these amazing buildings and then linked up underground. And obviously I believe they're just inherited system that comes with the property. GPO East was the main post office for London between 1829 and 1910. The headquarters of the post office, the United Kingdom, Great Britain and Ireland. And England's first purpose-built post office, it was demolished in 1912. Sir Rowland Hill of the General Post Office commissioned 2 engineers to investigate the feasibility of a pneumatic tube-based system between the General Post Office and the West District Central Post Office. In 1855 and 1856 they reportedly favoured, but there would be significant cost. The scheme was not progressed. So again, there's discovery of a small track of pipe and a little story put to it saying it wasn't completed, and that was the end of it. Originally known as the General Letter Office, the headquarters of the General Post Office was built on the eastern side of St Martin's le Grand in the City of London between 1825 and 1829. And you can see a little picture of it there. Beauty of a building. Now this picture I found very interesting. Very, very interesting. So if I zoom in, there's a little guy with big ears. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, just what I noticed straight away. But look, it says Airmail, New York, pneumatic mail. Now I wonder if that's a bit far-fetched, but imagine if there was tubes going from America to London, from New York to London, and this is obviously in New York, I guess. But imagine this was in London going to New York. So this is the track, the pneumatic track. So from Mount Pleasant going rightwards, it would have been pneumatic railway. And what's interesting about Mount Pleasant is it used to be a very large prison in London, and that shut down in the 1800s, and then they built a post office there. Now it's very ironic that this post office has connected to a subterranean network, and it was also underneath a prison as well. So this is the station now. That's what it looks like now. Old Holborn. And this is the pneumatic track So this would be from Mount Pleasant going back to Whitechapel. You can see you've got the Holborn station there. But like I said, there's no plans of this. Like, you have little bits of information like this, but there's no construction plans or anything like that. So it looks like it runs underneath the roads, directly underneath them. So after a few resets and a mud flood later, anyway, this is the post office, and it's very, very grand, very, very grand. And there's another picture of it on the left hand side. And there's another picture. This is the one in Dublin. So they look very similar. They look identical, to be honest with you. And this is a building that caught my opposite. Because when I was doing the research, I found them doing some work on this building. Caught them right out. I couldn't believe it. This is the picture, so we'll have a little look. So I don't know what was going on here, but this is opposite. So it might have been a bombing, or I don't know. But the top half of the picture reveals a lot. So you can see geezers, or ladders, sorry, and men. Look at the means they're using to build up little walls, and the brickwork in between the actual blocks. So these are two different groups of people building this thing. So it was original, it was already there, it looks like, and now they're just adding brickwork to it to alter it. And obviously, you know the rest of the script. But look, all it is a ladder going up, a pile of bricks. How, if that's how they built that, how in the world did they build the actual massive structure within blocks? Now this is interesting. This is from 1870, and it is a segment of embankment, and it's showing you number 1, the water services, number 2, the sewer services, number 3, the Metropolitan Underground Railway, and number 4, the pneumatic passenger railway, and that run under the Thames. So that's quite interesting. A pneumatic tube that run under the Thames. And it does say here the engraving represents a portion of the Thames embankment that has been finished. So that's very interesting, eh? So it goes underneath the underground and underneath the Thames, and this one goes from Charing Cross to Waterloo. Never even heard of it until I found it. I found this about 2 weeks ago, to be honest with you, but it's hard to make a video at the moment. So let's have a look at this tunnel. So as of 1955, it was claimed that the cut and cover tunnel in Whitehall was still in place and buried underground untouched, and is more likely filled with rubble to prevent collapse. Excitingly though, what could be remnant of the cut and cover tunnel in Whitehall is accessible to visit. Deep underneath what was the National Liberal Club building, and is now the Royal Horse Guards Hotel, lies an oddly isolated little room even deeper than the main basement, and that is used today as a wine cellar away from the rest of the hotel basement facilities. This is said to be the remains of the Waterloo and Whitehall Railway. It also says that the site of the Whitehall Railway Station became the police headquarters, later Scotland Yard, and is now the site of a classical building which is being converted into a hotel. A Museum of London archaeologically report on the site makes no mention of the railway whatsoever. So that's interesting. So they say it probably got swept away by construction. So that's quite interesting. It sounds like there's a bit of amnesia around these pneumatic railway systems. Very interesting. Now this was on one of the trains. I was just looking at an advert. This was an advert for a train station porter. And there was also an advert for Oxos with a child on there. Just a little interesting photo, just an insight of what a pneumatic train looked like inside. So I've also got a picture of Charing Cross Station, as it was a pneumatic train station. And you can see they had a shutter here to keep it airtight. And you've got a mechanism above, like a roller mechanism. And that would roll along, keep it airtight, so when the fans blew, it helped to propel. It's very interesting stuff. Wapping Rotunda. So to get into this pneumatic train station, you'd go through this rotunda and you'd go down about 3 levels. There's not much of the rotunda left. Just looks more like a brick building now, really. So I wonder how old these buildings really are. I wonder how old this pneumatic railway system really is. So this is the old Holborn pneumatic railway station, and it's the far left building with the arches. And this is in the station. And these are the ones that had cars. These are not the carriages, these are the cars. And this is the new station. Just like the concrete and brick, load of crap. And while I was looking, at the underground railway for the post office, which is separate to the pneumatic railway, look at the brickwork in this tunnel. And what are all these little tunnels coming off of it as well? Like the brickwork painted white looks normal, but the bit that's exposed looks very old. Crystal Palace Pneumatic Railway. The Crystal Palace Pneumatic Railway was an experimental atmospheric railway that ran in Crystal Palace Park in 1864. It says the tunnel ran for 600 yards between Sydenham and Penge, and that's the entrances of the park. And the tickets cost us 6p each, and trains ran between 1 PM and 6 PM. And the journey was 50 seconds. The line operated from the 27th of August 1864 to October 1864. So it just seems like they just they come across it and they're charging people to ride on it like it's a novelty ride. They did the same in New York as well, and a few other countries or cities. So it is unclear what became of the line, as records do not state what happened after it ceased to operate. Although it has been suggested that Rammel had originally constructed the small line as a test for a larger atmospherical railway that was run between Waterloo and Whitehall. A formal excavation was conducted at the site of the upper station in August in 1975. A brick tunnel, too small to be the running tunnel, and what was thought to be the retaining wall were found. The running tunnels was not found, and some believe it may have been destroyed in the construction work for the Festival of Empire in 1911. So there you go, we've got amnesia. You know, so if these things are built less than 200 years ago, why don't we know about it? Why is there no records of it? It's just very strange. And here is a little segment in black. So it's the same story in New York. You've got Beach Pneumatic Transit. The Beach Pneumatic Transit was the first attempt to build an underground public transit system in the New York City. It was developed by Alfred Eli Beach in 1869 and was a demonstration subway line running on pneumatic power. So the subway had one line and had one stop in the basement of Rogers Pete's building, and it had one car shuttle going back and forth. It was not a regular mode of transport and lasted for 3 years. See, what's interesting about that? If it's not regular, why did it go on for 3 years? And why is it? It's just a story put to something, really. They found it. It's just an interesting little story. But they said it weren't successful, but then they go on to say that they based the New York pneumatic post system on this. So it's just a load of cobblers. And like I said, these pneumatic systems are all over the world, like Belgium, Prague, Scotland, Dublin, Liverpool. It's very interesting, very, very interesting. The tunnel was almost completely within the limits of the Broadway line's City Hall station, which just goes to prove it was there before the City Hall station. This is the US Pneumatic Dispatch Company. This is just an illustration of what was to be. Or to be honest, it probably was, but just hidden. So you can pause and have a read of this. This just goes into detail. This is a newspaper article from 1870, March the 5th. Just going into detail about how it works. The pneumatic car tunnel in Broadway. But you can pause and have a look at this. Very interesting article. So it just shows you how it works. You've got a waiting room, you've got a blower with a flue and a car, and obviously the pneumatic tubes. It's just showing you the circulation of the air and how it propels the capsule. So this is the New York Post Office Underground Railway. And you can see it's pneumatic. Again, this is under Broadway, the pneumatic station. And these are the 1850s, by the way. Oh no, sorry, 1870s. Be very futuristic, wouldn't it? So this is where it gets very interesting. Very, very interesting, because 1870, I think it said they built these. These pictures are around that time. If you look, it looks like they've been dug out. It don't look like they're new. Bearing in mind, these pictures should be 20 years old max. Yeah, it looks like it's been filled in purposely. The brickwork's extremely old. And it looks like all they've done for this is cleaned it up and decorated the entrances to make it look like it's decorative. But I think it's just an inherited system. And they just charge people to go like a ride to and from places. Look how old it is. So this was in 1900s. It looks very old. Like how old is it to get that weathered? So really, this picture here was from the 1900s. So this is actually 30 years old. That brickwork should be 30 years old there. And it looks a heck of a lot older. And also, on these pneumatic trains, they had a telephone line, which was quite interesting. So it goes to say, after the project was shut down, the tunnel entrances were sealed. The station, built in part of the basement of the Rogers Peak building, was reclaimed for other uses until the entire building was lost to fire in 1898, which is predictable, obviously, if you know what's going on. In 1912, workers excavating the BMT Broadway line dug into the old beach tunnel, where they found remains of the car, the tunnelling shield that was used for the initial construction, and even a piano in the subway waiting rooms. So that just goes to show they didn't know about this, otherwise they wouldn't have dug into it, they wouldn't have found it. So we have amnesia. Somewhere along the line, this has been covered up on purpose. So it continues to say that the shield that was removed and donated to Cornell University, which has since lost track of its whereabouts. How do you lose track of shields for tunnelling? Like, they don't fall out your pocket, you know? It's just that this is a cover up because this is a system that runs on air, which don't really cost much. It's rumoured that a small portion could still be accessed by a manhole on Reed Street. The New York Historical Society commissioned a plaque honouring Alfred Beach to be placed in the City Hall station. Interesting. Now this is a gadget I want to look into, and it's a radio teleview of a document at a distant station. So basically what I've been looking at here is something that you can sign and send to someone from station to station. So I'm going to look into that one. Chicago Tunnel Company. Let's have a look at the narrative. They were the builders and operators of a 2-foot narrow gauge railway freight tunnel network under downtown Chicago, Illinois. It was regulated by the Interstate Commerce Commission as an interurban. Even though it operated entirely under Chicago, did not carry passengers and was entirely underground. It inspired the construction of the London Post Office Railway. So that's the narrative. Now when I was looking at this, it just seemed remarkably older than what we're told. So let's have a look. When was this built? 1906 to 1959. And it's currently abandoned, and there were 60 miles of track. And this is where it gets even interesting. The city was largely unaware of the nature of the tunnelling, and the first 16 miles of the tunnel were excavated somewhat covertly, working from the basement of a salon and carting away the spoil after midnight. Really? Really? Let's have a look at these tunnels then. So apparently they're done by explosives, but if you look at the left, it looks like it's been done by some sort of machinery and then filled out with blockwork. So it looks like they're ancient tunnels, and then they've just put this blockwork around it to make it more modern. But here you go, these look very old as well. Very, very old. And all they're doing is just laying tracks in there. And again, how old is this? Because don't forget, when these photos were taken, this place was only being built. Look at it, it looks like something out of Malta. I've been in tunnels like this in Malta, and I'm going to show you in a minute. And the ones I was in were ancient, and they're exactly the same as this. There's no way these tunnels are like built in 1906. Founded in 1906. Mental. Absolutely mental. So these tunnels just remind me of Malta. Ancient rock cut tunnels, that's what they just remind me of. These sort of tunnels are all over the world. You pick any city and they're there. Now this just goes to prove this is the purpose of this tunnel was not for what it's used for now. It was designed for a bigger purpose, and now they've just put another arch there to shorten it really. So workers in 2009 pumped concrete into the tunnels, which caused the roadway to buckle. So that was them trying to block it up. But this is what I said about Malta. Even the ones that I was in Malta were blocked up. Look, blocked up on the left hand side. Exactly the same. Same finish on the walls, same size. And that's the shaft down there, you can see the light shining down, there's a bit of water. So these tunnels were all over the show. And they're very ancient. And if anyone knows what this sign means, let me know. And the date is 1791. Let me know. So the Thames Tunnel, and it was built between 1825 to 1843 by Mark Brunel and his son. So look at this place. So it was originally designed for horse-drawn carriages, but was mainly used by pedestrians and became a tourist attraction. And then in 1869 converted into a railway tunnel. It also says that the tunnel was fitted out with lighting, roadways and spiral staircases in 1841, 1842. So this was the entrance. Again, it's like another rotunda. And this is it. So you go down a lift as well. There's also a lift. And it'll take you all the way to the other side. It's funny that, isn't it? Because they used to say that there was only one way across the Thames. One way above ground. But I bet there's warren holes all the way across from bank to bank. Just filled up. So this was the tunnel as it was a tourist attraction. And this is it now, with the tracks running down it. Anyway, I hope I showed you something different today, like the pneumatic railway, because I'd never heard of it. And it does go a lot deeper. You can, it's like I said, it's a tin of worms, mate. It's an absolute tin of worms. But I'm just going to finish with this little bonus thing here. So if anyone lives in Malta, please check this out. I went there but I couldn't get in. Now it's in an ancient valley, as you can see. And basically I've walked down there a couple of times, but this time when I was down there I come across red painted crosses, tombs, catacombs, and also come across this thing now. Can you see it in the middle on the rock? Little entrance. I'll come across that. I'll show you in a second. But this place is really worth exploring. I reckon there's so much underneath all these hills, or these rock hills. But then you just got a section of rock cut square there. Very interesting, this area. But anyway, let me show you the picture. So this is me. Now I don't know what stone that is. It looks like it's been melted and there's all this black stuff over it, like some sort of plasma discharge. And these holes are where platforms were. You can see how hot I am. I was sweating and I'm full of mosquito bites. But there was a rope going up. I tried to get up there but I didn't fancy it. It was about 30 foot. But if I zoom in you can see there's some weird markings on there and there's some red and green paint. And it looks like there's some sort of, I don't know, discharge on there from something. But it also looks like all of it's melted outside. Not the inside bit. All of the rock that I'm climbing up. So that's in a valley. Anyone wants to know where that is and wants to go there, let me know. So the laptop turned up, but it was a Chromebook, so I've had to send it back. And what they've done is they've sent me the same one back. And now I've got to send it back again and wait for a refund to buy a different one. So this has been going on for nearly 2 weeks now. But I've had the laptop and here she is. And I'm waiting to be picked up on Tuesday. And I can go and crack making videos on the laptop. But thanks for that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. One love. Ta-da. Ta-da. Easy tigers. How is everyone? I hope you're fine and dandy. Yeah, so basically I've found part of Malta in England, which has made me question everything now, because I thought I'd only find this around the Mediterranean and Northern Africa, but now I found it in Northern England. So let's get into it and have a look. So let's have a look what Wikipedia say. So Edge Hill Railway Station. Now this is remarkably similar to Floriana train station, which is a rock cut train station in the Starfall. So this says there's been 2 stations of the name. The first stood a short distance southwest of the present station, and its remains are still visible, but the site isn't open to the public. Now there's going to be a part 2 to this, and I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there and film it and do a live there as well. But that train station here connected up to Euston's train station in London, which was this train station at the time. So this is 1830. And this was the station building before it was turned into a train station. But we're not here to talk about that. We've got a stage photo, you've got people, everyone looking at the camera. Alright, so let's see what it says. The first station opened on the 15th of September 1830 as part of the London-Manchester Railway, and it is 12 metres deep, cut into the sandstone, with 3 tunnels at the west end, and it don't mention tunnels either side, so this is clearly some sort of ancient station or junction or something like that, same as in Malta. So some sort of ancient transport. So it also goes to say that during the summer of 1829, prior to the tunnel opening for traffic, it became a popular subterranean promenade. It was whitewashed with gas lit intervals, and on certain days people would walk through and it cost them 1 shilling a time. There's even a band that provided entertainment. Now, it don't really mention much about being built. It just says about being cleared out or dug out. And this was obviously used, like it says now, prior to being used as a train station. A year before being used as a train station. So it closed in 1975 by British Rail, and it was bought by Granada Studios. Basically, I'm going to be referencing this between here and Malta just to show you the cutting techniques, the similarities, the rendering. There's loads of stuff that's the same, and it's clearly thousands of years old. I'll show you now anyway. So let's have a look at this little rock cut ancient site. So it doesn't mention the tunnels either end, it just says the tunnels at the west end, which is a back end. So you've got tunnels either side, you've got steps coming down. And the arch at the background was called the Moorish Arch. Obviously this has all been demolished now. The Moorish Arch. Man, this is what it looks like now. This is like a scene out of Malta, this is. Like a square cube cut out of the ground. Just like this. This is Floriana train station. You've got all these little entrances at the side. Going down towards a rock cut train station. So you can see this is cut straight into the Starfall, this one. Clearly you can see before these were train stations. These were maybe ancient transport sites. Or just maybe ancient dwellings, maybe. But you're going to see the similarities anyway, I'll show you. So this is walking down towards the train station. I'm just showing you this because you're going to see all this and I'm going to reference it. So this is building services, been blocked up, so they were chased out, used, taken out and then bricked up. This here is a key factor of this video. So this technique, this cutting technique, we're going to look into detail about this. So this is a 1,000-year-old site in Malta, apparently the narrative says. It's like a zigzag cutting machine. It's very strange. It's like a Z, continuous Z, up, down, up, down, up, down. And these lines are about half a metre long. And these are very worn out. They're not melted because the walls would be melted. We wouldn't be able to see the scratching marks otherwise. See, this is what I mean. This is looking down the steps. And then looking up the steps. Very worn out steps. If that was melted, then the sides would be melted too. Now, I know I'm going off track a little bit, but it's very important that you know this part. So all that scratching is for a reason. It's to put this render on. Now, I've gone around all the star faults in Malta, up close and personal, and there's only little bits left here and there of the render. Now, when I pour water on this one's like a sort of marble. And it's got red and blue shiny bits inside it. So that tells me the whole building was covered like this. They're not the limestone structures that you see. Again, if you look on the inside of that arch, you can still see the rendering in there. So, there you go. That's why it's scratched like that. But it's important you know this, the English version that we see in Liverpool. So let's go back to Floriana train station. So now you know that the zigzag marking, where you see that, there would have been render up the wall. So there's no way this was originally a train station. This is like some sort of troglodyte settlement or ancient settlement. But very advanced. I mean, to cut this place up with perfect geometry. Anyway, this is another part. So you can see it scratched up. And then you can see there's a bit of render left on the left hand side of this column or pillar. So scratch marks there, like that. This sort of render or cladding over it. So let's go now to Liverpool train station. This is where I'm going to turn it up a notch and show you stuff that I don't think anyone knows. Because not a lot of people have seen the stuff I've seen in Malta. And not a lot of people have seen this as well. And I've put two and two together and it's incredible. Right, so even here when it was a train station, back in the day, it looks very old. Very, very old. And there's a little arc lamp up there. And the tunnels on the left hand and the right hand side are not being used. Obviously they were dug out purposely. Now look at this similarity. You've got the rock cut, then the blocks on top, and you've got the three entrances. You've got the three entrances, the rock cut, and the blocks on top. Same there. I never ever thought I'd see this stuff in England, ever. I just thought it was Northern Africa, Mediterranean. Now some more stuff that I noticed was how they buried the pipework in the wall and then rendered over it. Now this pipework's so old it looks like it's petrified, doesn't it? Looks like it's turned to rock. But this surface has been scratched up with a zigzag and it would have been rendered over, so you wouldn't have seen this pipe, it wouldn't have been exposed. It'd have been behind the render. And this is one in Malta. The pipework was taken out. See where they scratched up the wall because that was all rendered. And the pipework went in the chase. You see the zigzag cut marks? I'm just going to show you some chase marks. So these here were for building services. So these would have come along and fed the apartments. They come down, feed the apartments, and in here you can see chased wall, and you can see it's been plastered or rendered. So that's a pristine white wall in there. So that's what it would have all looked like inside all of them. They wouldn't have looked like limestone rock cut structures that we see now. They just look like amazing buildings. But my point is, here we go. This is an old, very ancient chase. And it's still got the slabs, the cover slabs over it. So the pipe would have went up there, and this would have been rendered right over. And no one would have known the pipe was there. This one was being filled in recently, because you can tell by the block work. Now this is where it gets even more amazing. Check this chase mark out. This is not in Malta. This is back at the train station in Liverpool. So you've got a chase mark coming down the wall. What would go there? Cables, pipes. How old is this stuff? Because I know Malta stuff is thousands of years old. It's extremely old. Now here you can see the brickwork is being bricked up chase marks, massive chase marks. Like big services would have went there. This is a very ancient structure, and this is in Liverpool. And where I checked where it was, this was definitely part of a staff hall. Now you can see on the right hand side, it looks like a door that's been bricked up. And whatever service that was went into that door. And it also went up into that tunnel. And it also went left. So here you can see now, bricked up. You've got the terminal, and then you've got the bricked up service. Same as in Liverpool. Same here. Exactly the same. So they're just covering up ancient services. That's all it is, the same as they did in Malta. Now this was quite weird because now when you look at this scratching technique, you can see where the corners meet. Now you can't scratch this. This must have been some ancient machinery. Very strange. But that was all done to render over it. I don't know what's happened to the render. Maybe the rendering was precious. Again, this is underground in Malta. You can see where the corners meet of this scratching tool. So this is identical techniques in Malta and Liverpool. Ironic. Can't believe it. Again, you can see all the scratch marks to be rendered. Well, it was rendered. And believe me, when I get a car again, I'm coming up here. Obviously, I've been reset. When I climb back out the pot, this is where I'm coming. And I'm going to be going in all of this, no doubt. So here, got the arch, and you've also got a service running along it that's been bricked up. This is in Malta now. So it must have been the same people, or race, or beings, exactly the same beings, because it's exactly the same technique. And it's even been filled in after the same as in Malta. There's a zigzag cuttings. So it's been filled in the same as Malta and in England. So yeah, this is definitely, this reminds me of Valletta, this area. So I'm definitely going up there for a weekend. And I'm going to map this place out. It gets even stranger. So, this was the ticket office in 1830 for the train station. Can you believe it? It looks like something out of Fred Flintstone. Or a catacomb, like this is me in a catacomb in Malta. You know, and this is another part of Malta. But check out here, you've got chase marks on the right and render on the arch of the door. But it's extremely similar to this. So it's done, must have been done by the same people. And again, if I zoom in on there, you can see the scratch marks. Same as in Malta. Here, that I showed you earlier. Identical. So this is a view from inside the Maltese version, looking out. Obviously I haven't been inside the Liverpool one, so I will be going in there and I'll be doing a live video in there as well. And this is the Maltese train station with the arches. Very, very old. It's making me question now a lot of things. So you've got some old brickwork in there, or blockwork rather. And you've got some more of that scratching technique there. So just that, when you see that, that means it was rendered. The render's been taken off. Maybe that render was valuable, because it seems to be taken off of everywhere. Apart from a few crumbs that I've found in Malta. On a few star faults, that's it. Now this is not Malta, this is in the Liverpool train station. Now what would this be for? I couldn't even think what would this be for in a train station. Looks like a pneumatic tube. I don't know what that'd be for. Now this guy is the one that made me watch this video. Or make this video rather. Because he was doing a bit of urban exploring down there. And it really got my juices going. So something would have went there. Some sort of service. Now this is extremely old. And it's extremely advanced technology. Look at the symmetry, the precision in the arch. And you always find these little squares. Maybe some sort of lighting went there. Who knows? So this is another part of the train station back in the day, but it looks like an ancient site here. And now I'm just going to show you what it looks like compared to the Malta. Yeah, you've got the 3 windows, two windows either side, and a door and a window above. Same here, 2 windows either side, door and a window above. Same here. So this is in Liverpool. This one was in Malta, and the previous were in Malta. So that's very, very old. It gets even stranger in a minute. So these guys are actually laying like their foundation stone, but you can see that they're actually doing it on some sort of megalithic block. And this is in the late 1800s. They're digging it out. And again, this is another old photo, but the tunnels have been covered up, filled in rather. So was it really built in the 1830s? Look, and again, it's been blocked up. Do you know how much time and effort and spoil you'd have to put in them tunnels to cover that up? Go on forever. So much time and effort. So I don't believe they were discovered. I mean, I don't believe they were built. I believe they were discovered in the 1830s, brushed under the carpet. No one said nothing for 50 years, and then they decided to dig out the other tunnels either side of the train station. So this is the Williamson Tunnel, and it's a subterranean excavation. And what's strange about this is built by a guy called Williamson, and apparently he hired guys to build the tunnels and fill them back up. The reason for this was there were people who were from war, that had come back from war that had nothing, and to give them money because he was very wealthy, instead of giving it to nothing, make them build the tunnels and make them fill them up and then pay them, which is obviously a load of cobblers. Let's go. So this is only found by mistake, by the way. Apparently someone dug into a tunnel by mistake and fell through. But look at this blockwork for the arch. Extremely old. Very, very old. Again, when you're down here, you're going to see the same scratch marks we see in Malta. Check these walls out. Can you see that either side? Now I'm just going to put a picture of all of them together for you so you can see all of them together. All the same. Unbelievable, right? So that tells you this was rendered. That's why they've done that. This also tells you it was done by the same people as in Malta. Tunnel that's been cut into the rock. And we're inside the rock. You've got the waves coming in. And this must have been like a secret way in, I suppose. But if you look at these blocks up here, look how old they are. They ain't new at all. God, this is scary. Like, look how narrow this is getting. Like, I can't even go down here without turning to the side. Right, this is as far as I can go now.
You can see this.
This is another place that I'm dying to get into. So I guarantee you, when I'm in Edgehill train station, I guarantee you I'll end up in here. No problem. The things like this ain't a problem for me because I know I'll get in there. So I'm just going to show you how big these scratch marks are. See, that was about half a metre. That was. So you can imagine you're not scratching. It's about 2 inches thick, and this is all over the walls. All over the walls underground. Subterranean, look at the wall. So there's even chambers underground where you can put 3 levels of scaffolding. So who lived underground? Who were the people who lived underground? They even had a water gallery to store water. And this kept filling up. And when I was reading about it, they said that to install a pump. Because this just kept filling up naturally of drinking water. So whoever made this was incredibly advanced. But why was they underground? That's what I want to know. But, and I keep mentioning it, but the scratch marks on the wall. Maybe this was a universal technique because I've seen it in Egypt as well, on some of the walls in Egypt. And this is more tunnels underneath Liverpool. Obviously the Williams tunnel still, but another part of it. And this is when they were discovered. But apparently they were built, right? Look how old the arches are. And these people just duplicated that picture about 130 years later. But they've been clearly filled in on purpose. There must have been trucks and trucks to get this amount of mud down there. In fact, in 1995, over a 4-year period to 1999, they took out 1,800 tonnes of spoil. So this is quite a revealing newspaper article. Should pause and have a read, but I'll give you a quick lowdown on what it says. It's basically in 1954, a Liverpool local newspaper, saying that Irish workers were digging in some tunnels doesn't give you a date. It says in the Golden Railway era. They dug through, they heard some noises coming through, and they noticed some beings from Inferno. They described them from being Inferno, which obviously means hell, and they were speaking a language they couldn't understand. But pause and have a read of it, and you'll get a better understanding. But it's quite a revealing little article. So is that why these tunnels have not been spoke about and been filled in like this? And just look at the amazing brickwork. Look at that arch. I've never seen one like that before. Almost Moorish. It looks Moorish. It's like a Moorish arch. And there's another arch. You can see how big it is because you've got the people down on the bottom left. Like it's built for giants or something underneath here. The same incident happened in Malta, in the Hypogeum, on a school trip, when they said they see other beings. I mean, does this brickwork really look like it's 180 years, 200 years old? And look at how tall these walls are and how much mud has gone into filling that in. So this is a filled-in tunnel in Malta that I come across. I've come across a heck of a load of these. Absolutely a heck of a load. So these have been damaged, these tunnel walls, you can see. And every now and then you can see the scratches where they've been rendered, like there. Here you go. How much effort has gone into that? I digress. This is a beautiful arch. It's got 5 arches on this one, which is incredible. And it's all underground in Liverpool. Now look how old that brickwork is. Is this 200 years old or 190 years? I don't think so. And apparently this is how it got discovered. I cannot wait to get there and have a look. So this is a building directly above it. And this is where they excavated. You see the ground level and how much they've took out. And then ladders take you down into a little entrance. And there's another shot. Look at that arch that was buried. And this is some stuff they've found, which is quite interesting. All in very good condition. So yeah, that's obviously part of Edge Hill train stations. They're the same thing. They've just been split up. One's been completely shut up, locked up, and one was used as a train station. This is Stockport, but these caves. Again, look at this. This is just down the road. And directly underneath it are these caves again. Obviously, look how old the brickwork is, or the blockwork for that arched entrance. And here, but what I believe this is I believe this must have been some water power station, or maybe boats would have come in this way, like tender boats. And this is another interesting thing. Look at these 3 entrances reflecting in the water as well. So I'd love to little boat and see where these places go to. And this one here. So it's quite incredible, like subterranean England. I never knew it was like this. So when you dig up, you definitely find the old world. Now I just want to clear something up. This is Fort St Elmo. Now some people are telling me that the star forts in Malta, the ones that I say are limestone rock cut structures. People are saying they're petrified, very old buildings. Now, I'm just going to prove to you they're cut out of the limestone. Right, here you have the base of the star fault, which is rock cut straight from the same as the floor. And if you follow that floor, you can come to this part, which is part of the same limestone, which is part of the same floor, which is part of the same wall. And if you follow it again, it goes straight into the water. Now, if you were going to... Someone said to me, nothing's rock cut. It's all poured. If it was poured, you'd pour the steps, wouldn't you? You wouldn't pour everything around it and then cut the steps into it. So this is what I'm saying. So you've got it here. The base of the star fault is rock cut. Then you have the ground. And that ground, where you have salt pans and all stuff like that, goes straight into the sea. And I'm lucky and fortunate enough to have been on a boat exactly here and seen through the crystal clear water that it's still limestone all the way through to the other side. So if they poured the limestone for this, what would be the point in wasting everything around it? So I believe Malta is just a limestone rock poking up of the Mediterranean. It's been chopped up and it looks like a bit of cheese now. So this is the top of the rock cut steps that I just showed you. Here. So you'd pour the steps. You wouldn't pour all that and then cut into it. That made no sense. Like, what a waste of material. So, this was one rock. They've carved the star fault out of it. They've carved paths out of it. And by the way, this ain't all melted, by the way, because there's salt pans here. And if this was melted, so would these be melted as well. But these in pretty good condition still, so nothing around there is melted. Some bits are, and some bits aren't. You just got to keep your eye out. And this is, I'm going to finish this. This is my mate. I just had to show this picture here because I didn't want you to think I was showing you a picture of some, or taking a picture of some geezer. But this is the Valletta star fault. And I thought I lost pictures of this. And when I was looking through my pictures the other day, I noticed that this was in the background. Now this is red brick on top of the limestone on the star fault of Valletta. Now this part, this red brick looks like it's melted. Some things are, some things ain't. Anyway, don't know what's going on with this. It looks very strange. It's like it's been 3D printed or quarried, but it's definitely not natural. 100% not natural. And this, when we see this, people always think this is what it is. This would have been rendered. This would have looked like a complete smooth wall. But just look at the block work in that. That's ancient technology from Egypt. Drilling technology. So it was fully about. I found loads in Malta as well, quite similar to this, very, very similar. Saw marks into the sandstone or limestone. Let's have a look. And also, I found some old tools as well. I had to do a little mini excavation myself. So here you can go, you can see blade marks going in here. And here. Just like that. It's like they let an apprentice loose. Or was trying out different heads for tools, maybe. But look at this one. This one gives you like 10 straight lines next to each other. Without damaging the bits in between. So I've done some really incredible videos in Malta, my early videos. A bit like Brian Forrester on steroids, but better. Anyway, that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've seen something you ain't seen. And it's incredible to see the same cuttings in Malta, Egypt and Liverpool. Anyway, if you liked it, subscribe, share, comment. Show us some love. Anyway, one love. Ta-da. Ta-da.
Easy Tigers. Hope everyone's fine and dandy. First things first, I just want to big up the people that have shown some love and supported me through Patreon and PayPal and other ways. And if you want to treat me at Christmas or buy me a drink or anything, or subscribe to $1 or £1 a month on Patreon, feel free. Thanks in advance. I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. And today we're going to be talking about resets, destruction around the world, and how they hide real history. So in particular I want to look at the current countries at the moment that are in war and what is in connection with all these places, and I want to look at places that have been reset hard, like Germany, specifically Aachen, just purely because I've been there. That's the only reason, and it was a beautiful city. But when you see these guys turn up, you know stuff's going down. So let's go. Right, first things first, I'm going to give you a list of the wars since 1945. So these are all the places that have been reset since World War II, basically. So this is after World War II. First column is the date, from and to, and then the name of the war, then the people who won it, and then the last column is the people that got defeated. So look how many there are. I'm not going to make, there is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Like, this place is so big, this realm is so big that you can reset different parts of it at different times, and the other areas don't even know about it. And that's what's been going on. But because we have the internet now, they start resetting one part, everyone puts it on the internet, and you can see what's going on. But look, it just goes on and on and on and on. And some of these wars are ongoing, and some of these wars I've never even heard of. I'll stop on a couple in a minute, you can have a look. But yeah, I'm just going to go through the techniques they used to wipe out all these countries and cities, and I've come across some interesting photos. You know, people in museums gunning out all the artifacts and stuff like that, you know. But look, I'm still going. This list is still going. This list is unbelievable. I mean, there's one, I'll come across it in a minute, and it'll be like tribes fighting tribes, and you think, yeah, all right, ongoing. Oh God. Let's have a look. Look, various tribes against various tribes. Ethnic violence in South Sudan till present. Look, this is all going on. Like, I didn't even know about all this stuff. This is in 2012 ongoing. These are all resets. And if you take note, all these places are of extreme history as well. And when I mean extreme history, I don't mean something like Stonehenge. I mean like Syria, you know, Baalbek, Lebanon, like where you've got these ginormous limestone structures. Looks like they're built by giants, basically. But before we get to all that, I want to go to Aachen anyway. This beautiful city of Aachen. And lo and behold, it has the Habsburg, which is the Holy Roman Empire. That obviously got defeated in 1806. That or they went behind the curtains, who knows. But yeah, I just want to point this out. And one thing I noticed about this Star Fort or Star City map, that all the buildings around the water were painted blue rooftops. I wonder if that meant anything. Were they pumping stations? Were they healing centres? Because even when you go into the centre, because in the centre of every star city is a cathedral, and 9 times out of 10 they've got a river or a canal or a stream running directly underneath it. It looks like this one's been filled in. But look, blue, 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 blue. And this map's from the 1600s, by the way. There we go. I've been here. I went to a Christmas market here as well. Very interesting place. Very, very interesting place. And I think that cathedral is where a lot of the Holy Roman empires, like the leaders, got initiated in that cathedral. So let's have a look at the buildings in Aachen before the war. Very old world, almost Gothic style buildings that doesn't fit the new narrative. So what do? You know, you send the army in, didn't you? You wipe these places out. You get the people scared, you get them to move out. Now this photo was incredible. Look how old world these columns are. Very strange photo. It almost feels like it's not in Aachen. Like, who are these guys, you know? All just sitting around for a photo. Was it a stage photo? Very interesting stuff. But I mean, look at it. You can only imagine how beautiful that building was. Look at it. And I don't know why there's scaffolding around it. It's like they decommissioned it. But look at the rubbish everywhere. So this, when I say Aachen, this happened pretty much in every major city that has old world buildings in. You name it, and I guarantee you can Google it and there'll be some sort of blitz or something that happened there. Now this was an interesting photo because these three buildings that I'm pointing out, these three got wiped out and taken out, and look what they replaced it with. The little one on the left hand side, they kept that one. Give a bit of character to the city, you know. But look at these rubbish buildings. No character whatsoever compared to these. I just don't think they have the capability to build like that no more. And the other thing is money. It must cost a lot of money to build that sort of stuff like that. So let's have a look. Let's have a real looky wookie. Right, so this is a news article by a Syrian defence minister who had to move thousands of relics because the place was just getting looted. Now, it's just a programme to go around all these places, just like the Great Library of Alexandria. Like, this stuff has just continually happened throughout history. They get rid of places that house history, wipe that out. Right, a joint report by German and Syrian organisations has documented severe damage to Syria's historical heritage and antiquity. Right, the report by the Gerda Henkel Foundation and Paris-based Syrian Society for the Protection of Antiquities monitored 29 museums and places of worship that have suffered various damages due to military, aerial and ground bombardments, including a museum of Marat al-Numan and Palmyra and Raqqa. The report, compiled by Syrian's academic Shilkmos Ali, also called for an investigation into the transfer of 405 boxes of antiquities to Dubai by former Defence Minister Mustafa Tlass when he left Syria in 2011. The boxes, the report said, contained thousands of looted artefacts that had been smuggled from Syria. The report said that Tlass, who died in Paris 2017, had obtained most of these pieces illegally, contradicting his claim that he had obtained official approval issued by the Syrian Minister of Culture, which included allowing them to be shipped to the United Arab Emirates. The report said 29 museums and places of worship have been subject to various damage due to civil war, including the museums of Marat al-Numan, Palmyra and Raqqa, which have been severely damaged. It also dealt with the widespread looting of Syrian archaeological sites, noting that 40,000 artefacts have been stolen from museums, warehouses and places of worship since 2007. So let me just stop there. Like, what are you going to do with these artefacts? You can't really sell them because they're going to be all over the news, you know? So these have just been wiped out of history so they don't go in the history books and no one questions anything, because none of this stuff here fits any narrative whatsoever. Since the beginning of the Syrian civil war in March 2011, museums have been subject to vandalism, looting, bombing and destruction. With the deteriorating security in many cities and towns, many museums have been robbed or looted, while others have been bombarded or bombed. According to the report, the long-term damage inflicted on Syria's museums is worse than that of Iraq museums, whose cultural and history riches were severely damaged during the 2003 US invasions and later during the rule of ISIL, and also known as ISIS. The Palmyra Museum, which was founded in 1961, was hit by Russian or Syrian air raids in 2015 and was partially destroyed. ISIL fighters subsequently destroyed a number of its contents, including mummies and statues. The museum contained 12,000 artifacts, and despite the number and nature of the looted antiquities not known at present, the report states that 3,450 of the artifacts were looted. Northwest of Palmyra, the report also documented damage to the archaeological museums in Idlib, which included, upon its opening in 1987, important art collections extending to the prehistory and Ottoman period. The museum was subject to several missile attacks in 2015 and 2016, and many of its contents were partially looted or partially destroyed, especially the archive. This museum included 15,000 artifacts, of which 5,844 pieces were looted. So it just goes to show that these were specifically targeted places, and if they wanted to wipe out anything to do with the country, you wouldn't really go for the history. You'd go for the food, the water and the people, you know. That's what, personally, that's what you would do. See, now you get the idea. So what I've done is I've just gone through all the wars since World War II, which is all the places that are being reset, and then I've just picked a section of these places and zoomed in on them just to have a look to show you how they are doing it. So what they're doing is they're getting the army, through the army and military, to go into these places. I don't know what they tell them, but they go in there and loot these places, smash them up, and obviously ISIS are paid by the CIA, and they go in there and smash up the artifacts, which is disgusting. I mean, I've got some pictures here with guys with SDS drills. I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's disgusting. Look at this picture. Unbelievable. And look at the artwork of it. This is done in marble, by the way. So you can't really carve marble, but look at this. This must have been GEOPOLYMER at some point. How do you do that? But the guy is defacing it. And look how hard it is to deface it, by the way, with an SDS drill. He's using the chisel or the hammer drill bit. So it's extremely tough material. That's why I think it's marble. With his bowling shoes on. Do you know what I mean? Look, a tank coming, parked up in the museum. Like, what's that about? Do you know what I mean? What is that about? Hiding in a museum door. So when you see these guys, you know, time's up, mate. Look at these machines. These are just reset machines. These go around causing destruction. So these places were rich in history and rich in architecture. Look, before and after. Look how beautiful that was. Basic but beautiful. And look what they do to it. Before, after. Like, why would you want to do this? Well, obviously I understand why. You want to hide the history because it doesn't match academic. You know, everything started in the 1800s. There was nothing before Jesus, apparently, in the year 2000. That's what they want you to believe. And we've come so far. I mean, they ruined a ruin. Do you know what I mean? Like, what was the point in that? Like, the place was already decimated. It was a ruin. That... Oh, God. Never mind, never mind. But you get the idea. Alright? The army going into places is not to save people or anything like that. We're given a backstory through the media, which people believe, but it's just a story to justify why they're there, smashing up history and depopulating the place. Look at this. Now, this don't even look like a human. This looks like some sort of cat out of a computer game. I mean, look at the nose and the eyes. It's like half feline, half human. But, smash. how much are these people paid to smash up the history? And they probably ain't even, like, they're probably American born and raised, Arabic looking people, you know, probably groomed for this moment. Anyway, let's have another look at a place that they smashed up that was of importance and extreme. I've never even seen this place before, and I was amazed. And part of me thinks this whole thing was poured, and this is limestone, and I'll show you anyway. And it seems like it was poured in sections. That's what these lines are for. Maybe it was like each line, that or 3D printed. Joke. But you can see this is like a troglodyte settlement. You can see all the cave entrances and windows in this ginormous strata, or this rock. But obviously the army have been here. They've spent a good time here and they've smashed it up. They've even got rid of one of the statues. So look, the Buddhas of the Bimiyan. Right, the Buddhas of Bimiyan were two 6th century monumental statues, Salsa and Shamama, which were carved into the side of a cliff in the Bimiyan Valley of central Afghanistan, 130 kilometers northwest of Kabul, at an elevation of 2,500 meters. Carbon dating of the structural components of the Buddhas has determined that the smaller 38 meter 125 foot Eastern Buddha was built around 570 AD, and the larger 55 meter Western Buddha was built around 1618 AD, which would date both to the time when the Hephalites ruled the region. Right, the statues represented a later evolution of the classic blended style of ancient art in Afghanistan. The statues consisted of the male Salsa, light shines through the universe, and the shorter female Shamama, Queen Mother, as they were called by the locals. The main bodies were hewn directly from the sandstone, which means cut out the sandstone or cut into the sandstone cliffs. But details were moulded in mud mixed with straw, coated with stucco. This coating, practically all of which wore away a long time ago, was painted to enhance the expressions of the faces, hands and folds of the robes. The larger one was painted carmine red and the smaller one was painted multiple colours. See, where did they get the paint from? You know? Where, like, this is a ginormous, imagine painting a massive, like, imagine painting a bridge. Like, the amount of paint, like, you have to go and buy it or knock up or round up to paint something that big. And they're in the middle of a desert, by the way. And another thing is, where did they get the straw and the mud if they're in the middle of a desert and they're surrounded by sand? Anyway, let's carry on. Right, so where was I? The lower parts of the statue's arms were constructed from the same mud straw mix supported on wooden armatures. So that means they basically, like, had wood bits coming out of the sandstone, and they made moulds and attached it to the wood so it stick onto the cliff face. That's what they're saying. It is believed that the upper parts of the face were made from great wooden masks. The rows of holes that could be seen in photographs held wood pegs that stabilised the outer structure. Yeah, so that's basically saying what I just said. It also goes to say that the Buddhas are surrounded by numerous caves and surfaces decorated with paintings, stuff like that. And it was apparently a flourishing civilization around the 6th to the 8th century, according to the narrative. So let's have a look at this place, shall we? I mean, to me, it's very suspect that you get all these lines in straight lines. It's like they built it in layers and then carved out what they needed to carve out. That's what it seems like. I mean, look at it. Look at that. You imagine how many houses are in there. Dwellings. So this is just a layout. And here are some of the Buddhas. So you can see the pegs would have went on the right, just under his left arm. I mean, why would you damage this? I know why, because it's like, because we sit there and ask questions. How could you do this back in the day? They want us to not ask these questions. That's what it is. But if you actually look around the head, it looks like it's laser cut or something. Like, it's so precise. There's no room for error. And another thing is, it's very droopy at the top. So if this was natural strata, why is it lined at the bottom and then like it's melted at the top? It's like someone's come along and dropped some sort of chemical over it, and it's like sandstone or limestone, and it's just melted like I showed you in the previous video. So again here, this is what they say. I'm like, right, so you remember a minute ago when it said that the actual structure was made out of sandstone, and then they did the decoration of the robes in mud and straw. Now this clip here just shows you that it's absolute cobblers, and it's all the same material, right? Look at it. So there's no difference between this part and this part. Now they're trying to hide the fact that they've either got advanced machinery to cut this, or it was once GEOPOLYMER. That's what they're trying to hide. So they're trying to say that they cut it out of this, and then for the detail they've done it with hay and mud. But it don't look like hay and mud, it's all the same material. Because even this bit here, you can see where it's mixing in between the robe, where it's like disappearing, where it's been smashed up, into the holes. So to me, it seems like they made that some sort of polymer, and then they've spread that over it, and then sculpted that into what shape they wanted. And that makes more sense, because if it goes wrong, you just get rid of it and do it again. Or maybe you add a solution to it and it makes it soft and you can do it again. But this is all the same material. The robe is not made out of wood, and it's not made out of hay, because you ain't getting that in the desert. Right, so let's have a look. Obviously, the army have been there, they've done their bit, they've destroyed it, they've got rid of the history. But what's interesting in this, it really, to me, like, I can say Malta because I've spent a lot of time there, but it seems so much like the consistency of the material of the megalithic structures in Malta, what we call limestone poured structures. It's exactly the same consistency. Look at it. Exactly the same. It looks like someone's just knocked it up. But I'd love to go here. I'd love to go inside here. You can only imagine it when it was at its peak. It wouldn't have looked like a ruin. It'd have been decorated. It'd have looked like, I don't know, amazing. Look, this is what it was before and after. Before and after. Just look at this. Look at how they destroyed that. Look at that. Just think there must have been gangs of guys up there with drills gunning that out at the same time. I mean, and what do you tell the public? What do you tell them? Well, like, oh yeah, we're doing an operation. Do you know what I mean? What do you tell them? You're destroying their history. I digress. I digress. But look, it just seems like it was a solution at one point. The mixture was a solution at one point, and it's very droopy at the top. Like I said, like they've poured something on the top, or they sprayed something on it to make it go like that. They've tried to melt it, but it was just so big. Look at it. But it looks almost laser cut on the interior around this guy's head, around this Buddha's head. Look at that. Look at that. And you know this is full of caves inside. Look at the precision. But then when I look at it, I just see it's been poured in sections, and then they've chopped out this guy, this Buddha. That's how I see it. But anyway, that was the colossal idols of the Birmingham Valley. I mean, you haven't seen that before, but let's have a Brucey bonus anyway. Let's have a little Brucey. Right, so this clock here is an astrological clock in Prague. And it is incredible, mate, because it was built or first installed in 1410, and it's the third oldest astronomical clock in the world. And the oldest clock in the world still in operation. Right, it goes to say that the clock is mounted on the southern wall of the old town in the old town square. The clock mechanism has three main components. The astronomical dial, representing the position of the sun and the moon, in the sky and displaying various astronomical details. Statues of various Catholic saints stand on either side of the clock. The walk of the apostles, an hourly, shows of moving apostles, figures and other sculptures, notably a figure of a skeleton that represents death striking the time, Old Father Cronus, and the calendar dial with medallions representing the months. According to local legends, the city will suffer if the clock is neglected and its good operation is placed in jeopardy. So let's have a look at this, shall we? Should we have a little examination? So in 1410 they built this, which is incredible really, because they must have known the cycles of the skies to build this, obviously. But it's in very good detail. Very, very good detail. So it's got the sun, the moon, the calendar month, days. Yeah, it's incredible. It even tells you where the sun and the moon will be positioned. But look at this. Look at the little faces around it as well. Time don't stop for no one. Time catches up with everyone. So this is just showing you what's what, the daytime, the zodiac, the hours, the present, you know, the ancient daylight. Pause and have a look at that. I found that really fascinating. But what I find fascinating is that they've given this to the public to use in 1410. Like, we weren't given this nowadays. But look at this. Look at how advanced this is. A clock that will tell you exactly where everything is astronomically. What date, time, where the sun and the moon will be. What a piece of art, eh? But it reminds me of that the thing they found in the sea. I'll get to it in a minute. But look at the marks around this. Is that machinery marks? Because nothing, if you carve that, it's just going to chip it. That's probably some sort of GEOPOLYMER limestone or liquid limestone or something like that, and it's been set. Maybe they're the lines of the mould that it's set in, who knows. But it's just a piece of art, isn't it? So this is what it reminded me of. This is an artifact they found. Right, the Antikythera mechanism is an ancient Greek hand-powered orrery, described as the oldest example of an analog computer, used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses decades in advance. See, this is just like a handheld version of the big clock on the wall. It could also be used to track the 4-year cycle of athletic games, which was similar to the Olympics. The cycle of the ancient Olympic Games. This artifact was among wreckage retrieved from a shipwreck on the coastal island of the Greek Antikythera. So that's why it's called the Antikythera mechanism. Okay, I'll get that now. I didn't know that. So some smart ass done a version of what it looked like, and this is what it is here. Don't know why it'd be wound up though. Why would it be wound up? Because it had a dynamo in it. Anyway, let's go to another thing. Right, the Pyramid of Cestui is a Roman era pyramid in Rome, Italy. And they say it's a tomb for some guy, but we know they ain't tombs. They're doing something to do with harnessing energy from the earth. It stands at a fault between two ancient roads. And not only that, there's two of these, but one of them got wiped out. It also says that it is of a brick-faced concrete covered with slabs of white marble. But I believe it's been rebuilt. I'll show you the pictures. You make up your mind up for yourself and let me know what you think. But another thing is, I'll just point this out now, that it is apparently the sharp pointed shape of the pyramids is strongly reminiscent of the pyramids in Nubia, which had been attacked by Rome in 23 BC. So check the dates out here. Right? Now this is the other pyramid in Rome, which is Meta Romula, also named Pyramid Vatican. So this was just outside the Vatican, and by the 16th century it was completely destroyed. Let's have a look at it. Look at the size of it. It's massive. This is another picture of it. But it's growing grass here, so how old is it here? This thing is growing grass here. You've got the old Greco-Romano columns. It looks like there's been a reset because there's loads of rubbish in the ground, as in like debris and stuff like that. So this is clearly a reset or something that's gone on here. But look, it's growing grass, and then they get rid of it. And another thing I'd like to point out, look at the block work on the right hand side. This is it now. This is what it looks like now. Take note of this little castle, and also note that this is different blocks. I'm telling you now, these are different blocks to what's in the pyramid of the old picture. I'll show you in a sec. Because if you look at the old picture, around here it looks damaged, like it's been shot at by guns or something. I'll show you. Look. Boom. Yeah? Can you see that? It looks heavily damaged, like it's been shot at. And the capstone's completely different material as well. But if you notice on the turrets or these on the corners of this castle, there's no slits in the windows, you know, like where they could just poke a little gun out and shoot. So it tells me that these original structures weren't for military use, or they weren't for protection. Because you've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows on that whole thing. But if you look at the other picture, there's about 20 windows where they can poke guns out. Right, so these are the pyramids that are identical to the ones in Rome. And the ones in Rome that apparently got mashed up in 23 BC. So are these a pile of rubble since 23 BC? They've got melted sandstone or limestone. Something's happened to them. But look, there was actually 200 and something pyramids in this area. And this is south of Egypt. You've got a little sphinx there. You've also got a little Easter Island body poking up there in between the pyramids. There's all sorts of stuff going on here. That's why this place got mashed up, just like everywhere else. But these pyramids are identical. Identical. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and share the love. And drop your thoughts below. Let me know what you think. Right, I've got a couple of bits coming out with Craig, some more stuff. So hold tight for that, and it should be out hopefully at the weekend or the weekend after. It's been recorded. Just got to mix it down. So one love. Ta-da, ta-da.
Easy Tigers, how is everyone doing? First of all, let's big up the Patreons. Been showing me love. If you want to join the gang, I'll leave the link in the description with my Instagram if you want to add me on there. I'm trying to build that up, and again the Telegram links will be in the description. So I hope everyone's been alright. I've been alright. I've just moved into a new apartment. Nice bit of space. I don't have to whisper. And I can be myself. While I was being myself, I was doing some research and I wanted to do something different. So I started looking at old ancient pictures and manuscripts and stuff like that, and I started noticing things in the background. We call them UFOs, unidentified flying objects. I'm not saying aliens, I'm just literally saying unidentified flying objects. So let's see what I come across. Oh yeah, one other thing. I got an email from a guy called Jim Irwin, I think. I've been trying to look for the email. It was about going to London Catacombs in Camden. Going there on the canoe. Mate, I'm up for it. I just can't find your email to reply. So if you're out there, mate, and seeing this, give me a shout, please. So this is a fresco from the 15th century that depicts Madonna and a child. If you look closely to the right side of the image, you can see that looks like to be a UFO hovering in the sky. I've made a blot of this, and it shows the image with portholes, windows of some sort. This fresco seems to indicate some sort of involvement between the UFOs and the appearance of Christ's child. I mean, why would the artist put that in the picture otherwise? And not only that, I've seen it in loads of pictures. This is what we're going to go through anyway. Also, you've got a man and a dog in the centre, looking up at it, clearly looking up at it. And at the bottom on the right, it looks like a sun with an eye in the middle. Is that the all-seeing eye? Who knows? And another thing I noticed about, look at this, look at Jesus. in a minute. When we go down, looks like he's been going down the gym. Anyway, next one. The Crucifixion. This was painted in 1350, and this seems to depict a small humanoid sitting in a UFO looking over his shoulder at another UFO, as if he's in pursuit or even in a race. Who knows? Now, if it ain't a UFO, I've got some other ideas. Because it also looks like it could be a sun and a moon. And it also, but definitely to me, they're like some sort of technology, space tech. I don't think they're UFOs. I think they're some sort of technology used back in the day. Could even be a bit of public transport, who knows? Now this one's called the Miracle of Snow, and it was painted around the 14th and the 15th century. Let's have a little look at it. Because when I was doing some research on this picture, it didn't say that it was Mary or Jesus up there. It said a human, two humans, male and female, which was very strange. And there seems to be quite a few of these discs in the sky. I don't know what they're doing on the floor there. To me, it looks like a petroglyph, like a sign to these people up above, like he was painting something out, who knows. Now this one was very fascinating. The Annunciation, 1486. There is a lot going on in this painting, but it is the light beam that really captures the eye. The light appears to be coming from a round object in the sky. The beam penetrates the building in order to achieve its goal. Let's have a little closer look. As you can see, it's penetrating her head. We'll have a little zoom in, see what that means. I don't know what's going on there. But these houses look like Malta. Tarquin, cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it. So this is an old map of Valletta, and this is exactly where this library is. And this library looks exactly like the building in that picture. Because if you look at the arches, same as in the picture, I'll show you what it looks like. We'll get up close and personal. Have a little zoom in. So a lot of Malta, like the old parts, look like it's biblical, like it's out the Bible. And a lot of it seems like it's built for giants as well. So we're facing away from the library now, it's behind me. You can see, turn around, look at the size of the arches, and also take note of these lights hanging down, because I've got a picture from the 1600, and the lights are in the picture. So look at that, it looks like it's out of the building. This is from the 1600s, see a big light hanging down? And that door's, God knows how big that door is, because that guy's got to be 6 foot. So what's that door, 20 foot tall? Very biblical setting, Malta. But like I said, we come here to look at the arches, which is similar to that picture. Here we go. So I thought I'd just dip in and show you that one there. So yeah, what is going on with this one then? Because it's going straight through the building, it's penetrating the blockwork, straight into her head. It looks like it's targeting her pineal gland. And you've got peacocks there. I know it's symbolism for eyes. Let's have a little zoom in. Here we go. So it looks like it's going through a bird into her pineal gland, which is very, very strange. Yeah, like I said, these places, biblical places, look like Malta. All around the Mediterranean. Now this is a very interesting one. The Life of Mary, 1330. This was actually stitched. But you can see in the background, there's some sort of UFO in the air. So the Baptist of Christ, and that was a painting in 1710 by a painter called Art de Gelder, and he was born in 1645, 1727, and he was a student of Rembrandt. So let's see what this picture's saying then. Clearly some sort of unidentified flying object, whether it's the Demiurge, the Archons, Anunnaki, whoever it is has a tie in the biblical story of Jesus for some reason. They're everywhere, but it's not in the school books, it's just in the artwork. And the artwork come before the school books, remember? So it's just rays coming from a disc, shooting down, giving life to Jesus Christ and John. Now this is Moses on Mount Zion, or Mount Sinai, given the 10 Commandments, but in the background you can see 4 UFOs. I don't know what they are. Like I said, it could be public transport just caught in the background, or it could be beings from another dimension, another realm, or could be high technology, who knows. So this is Saint Wolfgang and the devil, and it looks like the devil's showing him a book. Maybe it's the Bible. It's very interesting. Anyway, again, it's like the same sort of settings as Malta. I think there must be a strong connection between the Bible and the Knights Templar places like Rhodes. You know, you got Malta and the other islands around there, because they're all very, very similar and all very biblical. And this devil's even got a face on his bum. Just thought I'd point that one out. So this is a strange object that refers to a UFO in a 14th century mural in a Romanian monastery in Siasora. And it does actually say something at the bottom. The caption at the bottom reads, "Israel, put your hope in the Lord," 130.7. So it must be from Psalms or something like that. So this was a 14th century picture, and it clearly has some sort of UFO on the top of it. Again, always to do with the church or the Christ or something. Are these guys in contact with interdimensional beings? Anyway, we've gone through some old ancient artwork that clearly got UFOs or public transport or ancient tech in the background. There's no point in denying that whatsoever. So what else I've come across is celestial battles in the sky from nearly 500–600 years ago. So let's have a little look at these. So a celestial phenomenon of Nuremberg, right? This is in 1561. A mass sighting of celestial phenomena or unidentified flying objects occurred in 1561 above Nuremberg, then a free imperial city of the Holy Imperial Rome. So it looks like it went over 2 places. The phenomena has been interpreted by some modern UFO enthusiasts as the aerial battle of extraterrestrial origin. This view is mostly dismissed by skeptics, some referencing Carl Jung's mid-20th century writings about subjects, while others find the phenomenon likely to be a sun god. So it says in a newspaper, mass sightings of celestial phenomenon, a broadsheet illustrated with a woodcut engraving and text by hand glasser, measures 26.2 centimetres. That's interesting, 26.2, isn't it the same as a marathon? The document is archived in the prints and drawings collection at the Zentralbibliothek Zurich in Switzerland. According to the broadsheets, around dawn on 14th of April 1561, residents saw what they described as an aerial battle, followed by a large appearance of a large black triangular object, and then the large crash outside the city. It says there's witnesses, hundreds of witnesses, all sorts of odd shapes in the sky. So what do you think about that then, eh? That's quite mad, isn't it? What do you reckon they were? Do you reckon they were, obviously they were UFOs, who knows what they were, floating around, causing mayhem in the sky like that. But what's interesting about that is, after that event, Nuremberg pretty much declined after that. It got hit by plagues, civil wars, and all sorts of stuff. And look at this, this was a massive star city. Look at it now. Let's have a little zoom in. See all of that outer bastion walls, they're completely gone. Nothing. Niche. Nothing at all. Gone. You can faintly see the outline, but that's about it. So there was another one, 1566, celestial phenomenon over Basel. 1566, that's 666. Obviously 1 and 5, 6. Anyway, a series of mass sightings of celestial phenomena occurred in 1566 above Basel, Switzerland. The Basel pamphlet of 1566 describes unusual sunrises and sunsets. Celestial phenomena were said to have fought together in the form of numerous red and black balls in the sky before the rising sun. The report is discussed among historians and meteorologists. The phenomena has been interpreted by some ufologists to be a sky battle between unidentified flying objects. The leaflet written by historian Samuel Cuccius reported it as a religious event. The Basel pamphlet of 1566 is not the only one of its kind. In the 15th and 16th century, there was loads of pamphlets that wrote of miracles in the sky. Now, this could literally just be subliminal programming to keep the people, you know, in fear, like they do now with news, you know, bombings and all whatever you have, you know. But they don't explain all the stuff going on in the sky, so I digress. Anyway, the event is reported to have taken place in Basel, Switzerland, according to Samuel Cuccius, on the 27th and 28th of July and the 7th of August. Many locals witnessed in Basel reported seeing 3 celestial phenomena. The first is described as an unusual sunrise, the second as a total eclipse of the moon with a red rising sun, and the third like a cloud of black spheres in front of the sun. So that's very interesting stuff. And also another thing that I come across was apparently, this is in some other language at the moment, but when I was researching this, apparently it's raining blood as well. So this is news articles from the pamphlets, and it's a bit of a nightmare to translate, so I didn't even bother. So it's very interesting stuff, eh? 500 years ago, there's reports of stuff coming from the skies, celestial battles, you know, objects flying around, the sun and the moon going different colours, and eclipses of the moon, and raining blood and all sorts. So some stuff's gone down. Some stuff has gone down. But we ain't finished there. So how could I do an episode on this without touching on Vimanas, eh? But before we go on there, I just want to look at this one. This one had Russian writing on it, so I couldn't translate it. But it looks like it's like a floating gala or something. Something like a stadium floating with people in it, with wings. And people are waiting for it to come down, it seems. And then we had this. Take note of all the different sizes of the blocks, by the way. And then the beings with elongated skulls. See, these ones are done by blocks, and then they've done like artwork with limestone, cement, or some sort of render on the outside. But highly possibility it's a Vimana. High possibility. So God knows how they made these things. But a lot of information on these is in a book called The Vedas. It's got all sorts of stuff about Vimanas in there. Obviously, you know Vedas as the Darth Vaders from Star Wars. They took it from that, the Vedas, and they put Darth in front of it to make it just seem like it's silly. See, this little creature here, you see in maps all the time. See, it's almost like a Noah's Ark Vimana, this one here. That's the impression I get from it. See, it's in the sky, and it's literally like the Vimana, like these buildings we just looked at. You know, these stone structures. The Vimana. The Noah Vimana. Noah Vimana, that's quite a good name actually. But here, this one is very interesting. Look at this. This is clearly being cut out of a rock. Whether they poured a massive load of rock there, polymer, and then waited for it to go off and started chopping it up, or they literally chopped it up out of a natural rock, who knows. But you can see this is how it is formed. So they're halfway there, you could tell they're halfway through this one. Very interesting stuff, eh? So I managed to look at some bits and do some translation for you. So here, this one says at the top, the development of civilizations on Earth was concerned with the higher aliens civilization. Demiurge, Archons, Anunnaki. Many ancient beliefs are associated with them. The white gods, the Anunnaki, are ancient alien teachers. So they're depicted here throughout loads of stuff. You've got crop circles, you've got an 8-pointed star there. Let's have a look at the next picture. Ivan Kapula. So this is actually a festival. When I was doing some research, this is a festival. So, Ivan Kapula and the fiery wheel of the Anuna. So it also looks like Ezekiel's wheel from the Bible. Okay, and also this one here looks like exactly what you see on the people's arms or the being's arms on hieroglyphs. And a few things. This one looks like a starfall. This one looks like it's an alchemical symbol. On to the next. Let's see what this one says. Different crosses of the pagan cultures of the world. Okay, you've got the Ankh. And you've got the Latin cross. Nimbus. And you've got this hieroglyphs, or well, not petroglyphs, hieroglyphs in a cave that are written on the walls, clearly depicting other beings. And again, with Egyptian stuff. Let's have a look to see what this one translated to. Papyrus cradled evidence of the ancient Egyptians contacting UFOs. So this all could just be propaganda, or it could literally just be clues for us. But there's a lot of stuff in Egyptian hieroglyphs, like this, which is quite mad. There's also some stuff, but I don't know if they're hoaxes, but they look like proper grey aliens. And obviously Nefertiti, was it Nefertiti? Or one of them's blue anyway. You got one of these cats are blue. And then you got all this lot. You got people flying through. Looks like they've got space gear on. You know. And this one here, someone's blue. I don't know what's going on in this picture. But they've got two Ankhs. It looks like he's holding a platter with food on there. It looks like onions, tomatoes, birds, plates with cups, and two Ankhs. But they've both got something above their head, which was, I couldn't work out. Maybe does it depict their thoughts, what they're thinking? Who knows? And I don't know what the guy on the left is handling. I don't know what this is. I'd love to know what this meant. But yeah, they loved an Ankh back then. Again, some more UFO in ancient art. Petroglyphs and hieroglyphs in old pamphlets, woven in clothes, in the Bible. It is everywhere. Anyway, let's have a Brucey bonus. Let's spruce up for Bruce. So I'm looking at going to do a few bits around the area. Well, not around the area, around England. So I'm going to Liverpool, Edinburgh, and I'm going somewhere southwest. So I was thinking about going to Stonehenge. So I was doing a bit of research on it. And I come across this woman talking that Stonehenge used to be a ginormous building. Now I'm not saying she's right. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just showing you something to come across, and I found it very, very, very interesting stuff. So let's have a little look. So it's got a giant roof. It seems like it's a thatched roof. And these stones are literally like a foundation to hold up the higher levels, which is a very plausible, very, very plausible idea. So it's an enclosed hall. and you can see here on the top right how she thinks it would have looked from inside. And this is a model of it, which is quite fascinating really. And let's have it right. It might not be a stone monument because it don't really make sense, does it? You know, it makes sense that a building is built onto a ley line and it has a massive use like this. It'd be brilliant. Imagine all that energy being harnessed on that ley line. Oh, well, another interesting thing, when I phoned up English Heritage about taking my drone over here, they said no planes or no drones are allowed to fly over this on the summer solstice, which I found very, very strange. And I said, is it anything to do with the magnetic field? And she didn't even reply. She just went, no, I'll have a look and I'll try and find out for you. So this is another place I'll be going. So while I was, obviously people know that Stonehenge has been rebuilt 3 times now. Okay, it's not a masterpiece knocked up by the ancients years ago. You can see here it's all been put into place. And also another thing that I noticed, I found some stone that looked like they were magnets inside, and it just had, look here, bottom right hand side, it looks like a magnet with a stone casing on top of it. So this whole world is a complete stage. And you want to ask why things have been put there, and why is it there? Why is there truth there? The truth is, it's a sort of world where we have free will to believe what we want. So the truth is put out there, and we choose whether to believe it or not. So you can sit there and believe all the propaganda in the paper, or you can go and sit there and do your own research and believe stuff for yourself. You have the free will to believe what you want. Anyway, I'll waffle on. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. You probably haven't seen something you haven't seen before, because I spoke about UFOs. I mean, we've all been blasted with that as kids, so. But I hadn't seen a lot of it in the ancient artwork. But anyway, if you liked it, please give us a subscribe and a like. That'll help this video get pushed around, help the algorithm. And literally about 66% of the people watch my videos have unsubscribed. So subscribe, show some love. Anyway, if you want a link in description for Patreon and all that, one love, be lucky, ta-da. Easy tigers. I hope everyone is fine and dandy. As always, big up to the Patreons, keeping me out of the matrix. Remember, if you want to support, you want to join the gang, I'll leave the link in the description along with Instagram and the Telegram. Right, so I come across some old articles from a magazine from the 1920s, and it's quite hard for me to ignore it. So I'm going to go through these articles and we're going to see what you're saying. Let's get stuck into it, shall we? So this clip that we are about to see is actually a clip that's been flying around YouTube now for a long time. So I shouldn't get done for copyright. It's literally it's what we've always spoke about. So it's the technology or antiquitech on top of a building. And this one looks like it's still in use, or they don't know how to turn it off, or who knows whatever's going on here. But either or, what we've been saying for the last God knows how long is here. You have technology on top of the roof working. It looks like it's collecting something from the ether, or it looks like it could be corona discharge around the rods that are collecting from the ether. But I found a lot of articles basically saying that people are being attacked by lightning balls and stuff off at the top of buildings. Now I believe in the 1920s they got rid of all the tech off top of the buildings because they didn't know how to use it or turn it off, or didn't know what to do with it basically. And I believe that's obviously why people are wearing these massive top hats everywhere, because they had this discharge falling down. It might seem a bit fast at the moment, but when we go through these articles, see what I'm saying. Let's have a look at these articles then, shall we? So the first one is beaded lightning observed at Paris by Gaston Plante. Ball lightning and St Elmo fires were reported during the same freak thunderstorm. Let's have a butcher's hook. So you can see ball lightning coming down here. Balls come from the sky, but when you look at some more of these articles, they're clearly coming off the roof. Ball lightning in a French farmyard. The boy touched the ball with his toes and it exploded with a violent detonation.
The children were knocked down but not hurt, although stock was killed, i.e. chickens, lambs, cows, whatever you want to have them. Anyway, early one morning last April, while a thunderstorm was in progress, Reading Railroad train was standing in the station at Atlantic City. The rear coach contained 6 passengers, 5 men and a woman. A loud report was heard, the car shook violently, and the occupants were terrified to see a ball of fire about the size of a baseball enter the open rear door of the coach. After a fraction of a minute, the ball disappeared without leaving a trace of its visit. Many more or less similar observations are recorded every year in the newspapers and the scientific journals. The phenomenon is classified as ball lightning. Circumstantial descriptions of it have been published that it is characterised are well known to science. See, these pages are scattered all over the show, and if you actually look at the bottom of the page, it says go to like 195 for the rest of the story, or go to page this for the rest of the story. Nothing's one solid story, you know, you have to go flicking through the whole magazine just to find the rest, like the actual proper story. But let's have a look at this one. A first cousin of lightning, St Elmo's fire as seen on the lightning rods of the Pic du Midi Observatory in France. So you can see, like, they're calling it St Elmo's fire, and they're coming off the rods on top of the buildings. And like we said before, and these rods on the buildings were to collect energy. And when people say they ain't, like people that are around me, when I talk about this, they look at me like I'm nuts. But what can you do? So let's read this. Another queer case occurred in Italy. A peasant girl during a thunderstorm saw a fiery ball as big as 2 fists roll over the ground to her bare feet. It disappeared under her skirt, which suddenly ballooned out, hoop skirt fashion, and an instant later emerged from the neck of her bodice. She fell to the ground, but was unharmed, and the only mark found on her body was a sort of scratch extending from her right knee to her breast. Her clothing was slightly torn. Sounds like these ball lightnings are predators on women, eh? In a case reported from Kentucky, a boy was standing in a doorway watching a thunderstorm when a small ball of fire suddenly darted towards him. He turned to run. The ball lighted one of his fingers and then vanished. It left no mark, but his finger remained numb for some time. In contrast to these harmless cases, some encounters with ball lightning have proved fatal to human beings, including the famous one that cost the life of Professor Richmond at St Petersburg in 1753. Again, it will say to here, like, go to another page to find the rest of the story. But I do have it, so do not fear. But as you can see, this stuff coming off the roofs isn't actually fatal. It's not enough. Like, people are touching this stuff. You know, it's got, like, kids are kicking it and touching it and their fingers going numb. It's not killing you. But let's have a look at the next one. Right, so following from the previous article, it does say inspired by the experiments, and then it continues, of Benjamin Franklin, the physicist had erected a lightning rod leading into his laboratory and was standing near it during a severe thunderstorm. At the moment of lightning flash occurred, a fiery globe sprang from the rod and struck him on the forehead, killing him instantly. Ball lightning has been a subject of incessant controversy among scientists for more than half a century, and dozens of explanations of it have been proposed, though none has yet been found general acceptance. Several investigators have supposed that the balls consist of matter heated to incandescence by the electrical discharge of a thunderstorm. When the metal wire is melted by sending a strong electrical current through it, it is sometimes seen to break up for an instant into a number of separate glowing points, like a string of beads, and a streak of lightning occasionally assumes the same appearance. In 1876, both beaded lightning
and ball lightning were observed during a thunderstorm in Paris. A French physicist, Gaston Planté, was thus led to suggest that the ball lightning always begins as a streak of beaded lightning, formed by the immense heating of the air along the path of the discharge. The glowing parts of the streak eventually become scattered, so that they are seen as separate balls. Dr. Humphreys, a leading American authority on lightning, believes that many reported cases of ball lightning displays are due to an optical illusion, he says. A common form of apparent ball lightning is that in which a brilliant ball is said to have hit a certain spot and then bounded away at a greater or less speed over the ground, finally going off with a bang. The explanation is as follows. Where the lightning hits, there is often a brilliant flash, much more brilliant than the streak itself. This is the ball. It dazzles the eye and produces an image that persists for some seconds, nearly always to one side of the centre of the vision, because one would seldom be looking at the exact spot struck at the moment this happened, hence turning the eye to look directly at the bright light. The later itself also turns, being a persistent image on the retina. Continued on 195. But if we look at these pictures, there's no lightning. Maybe it's occurring when the lightning's there because it's triggering something off in the technology. But it's not lightning, it's balls coming down, discharge balls. They're even in houses. So, like I said, this tech on the roof, how is it getting in the houses then if it's lightning? How's it coming downstairs and things like that? You know? It just don't make no sense. This is some of the tech and they didn't know how to use it. They didn't know what was going on with it. So they had to dismantle it from everywhere. That's what I'm saying. So I managed to find page 195 and no longer an objective phenomenon. But the movement of the eye is irregular. And so the ball goes bounding along. In a little while the thunder reaches and more or less startles the observer. This is when the supposed ball explodes. An explanation that seems to fit some cases of so-called ball lightning is that the object identified by the observer as a fiery ball is really a brush discharge of electricity such as occurs in the well-known phenomenon of St Elmo's fire, or corposant. Such discharges are often seen in thundery weather at the tips and angles of elevated objects, including lightning rods, steeples, the ridge poles of houses and the spares of vessels. That's because all them things there are collecting energy, mate. That's what that's all about. They also form a bluish corona seen at night along electrical power lines carrying higher voltage currents. In the electrostatic field of a thunderstorm, a light object floating in the air or blown along the ground by the wind might emit a brush discharge and produce the general appearance of ball lightning. If, while the phenomenon was under observation, a powerful lightning strike occurred in the vicinity, this would temporarily neutralise the field. The brush would disappear and the accompanying clap of thunder would attribute to the explosion of the ball. So, what we've got here basically is discharge coming off buildings and guys trying to say that it's ball lightning. You've got scientists coming out with like theories like this. It's just a load of cobblers. Clearly, it's stuff off the building, like they just said at literally the last paragraph of all that. And it's funny that that got spread out over 4 different articles in this magazine, eh? And also, every single picture from like 1910, 20, 30s, before all this tech got taken off the roofs, every single person has got a hat on, or a top hat or something like that. Now imagine, just imagine for 1 minute, these hats were all lined with some electromagnetic something to repel this stuff, or something so you didn't get affected by the radiation or something. Who knows, I'm just guessing. But it's very strange that all these people, every single cat
in his pictures, whether it's hot or cold, have got hats on.
What a bit of kit. The electro tank shoots lightning rays. Lightning, enemy of man for countless centuries, may become his deadliest weapon of war, combining the Van de Graaff lightning generator with the newest high-speed war tank. A design has been suggested for an electro ray tank which promises to revolutionise offensive warfare. Whew, sounds like a serious bit of kit. So, and bearing in mind this is like 80-90 years ago as well. So the gunner of the lightning generator tank, seated at the control desk inside the massive metal sphere, can direct at enemy troops a small but extremely powerful stream of water. As the screw-driven vehicle rumbles forward at high speed, along the conducting stream, artificial lightning from the 100 million volt charged sphere will crackle ominously, delivering instant death to all living creatures sprayed by the water. Inside the heavily armoured tank, other men would supervise the gigantic crankless diesel which drives a power generator to supply current for the electric motors. So that's a bit of kit, isn't it? So look, pictured above, let's have a look quick. Right, so pictured above is a 7 million volt lightning generator built for scientists at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Dr. Robert J. Van de Graaff of Princeton University. He's the inventor. Look at that, 7 million volts. Lightning generator. Unbelievable. Imagine what you could do with that power. Like, for goodness, look, not wiping people out and living creatures like they're using it for. But just think of the stuff you could power with that. It's free energy. So let's have a look at the components. It's a metal globe. It has vision ports, water nozzle, hose to pump, upper pulley, point brush, auxiliary insulators, fibre column of steel-like toughness, insulates sphere from metal tank, and the driving space. Crankless diesel engine. So that's a proper bit of kit. How electricity is generated and stored in sphere. Friction of silk belt, which is A, driven by motor B, puts a negative charge on connector at C and draws positive charges from earth onto belt at D. So you can see here, and this is actually really good because this is telling you how Van de Graaff and other sort of generators collect energy from the earth or the ether. These ascend to the minus sign to escape on the connector marked E. So this is crazy stuff. So it comes up from the belts from the ground. This is amazing, and this is 85 years ago. And like if it's out in a magazine, this has been out for donkey's years before they brought it to the public eye. So negative charges, which is the minus, are drawn off sphere at F and descend through connectors G. To finish cycle and leave ball positively charged, friction belt motor is controlled by gunner. This is a gunman thing. This is serious. This is serious, mate. But let me know what you think about that.
Swiftly moving on, we have this machine from the future, and it's got Van de Graaff generators on top of it. It looks like it has a dynamo on the side, but what's very interesting is a vacuum pump to exhaust air in an electrostatic generator. This little gadget on the left looks like what we call capacitors on buildings, which is quite interesting. So this is obviously a device to the future. Looks like a dynamo there. It has glass plates that spin, that generate static electricity, and I guess just by looking at this picture, this exhausts the static electricity into the air. The high voltage powerhouse of the future. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. So it's just generating electricity, static electricity, and then exhausting it into the air. Mental. And this is from 1920s. say no more. So it's very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. Clearly, like I said, it's already been made. It's been made for donkey's years if it's out to the public or out in the public eye. So the Wartenberg pinwheel. This is a Wartenberg pinwheel charged to a very high voltage by an industrial power source, probably a dynamo. Under these conditions, sharp points exhibit coronal discharge into the air, with violet light streaming away from the pins. I guess I'd say the voltage is about 30 to 50 kilowatts or kilovolts. So that's quite interesting stuff. This stuff is literally producing free energy and is spitting it into the air. How mad is that? How mad is that? Like, imagine the stuff you could do with this. I digress. Something entirely new in acoustic science. By the appliance of a pulsating gas flame, the usual reproducing horn is entirely eliminated. The sound waves, as they impinge the air, are conducted through two columns of gas flame, thereby being reproduced in all their natural volume and tone purity. The most revolutionary discovery in modern gramophony. A scientific method of transmission calculated to supersede every known form of gramophone reproduction. So it's a scientific thing. Hear these same glorious records through the gramophone and learn how ideally perfect gramophone music can be made, the greatest revolutionary principle in gramophone construction. So yeah, you write to these guys, they'll come round, send you a brochure, or a salesman will turn up. But don't you find this is very interesting? Music through a flame. Very, very interesting stuff. So there you go. Almost 100 years ago, you had music getting played through flames. It's amazing what world we used to have and that we lost. It's been taken away from us. It's incredible. But let's have a look at a Brucey bonus. Eop, Doc. This is old Brucey boy. Now let's see Wagwan. Seeing as we've been talking about houses and electricity and stuff like that, I want to keep it on that vibration. So I've been looking at old stuff as in hoovers and things like that. And some stuff I come across was quite funny, to be honest with you. So this is a hoover from back in the day, and they're trying to sell it to us by saying that, you know, it's been approved by Her Majesty or His Majesty the King. He uses it in his house, and they're saying it's got extreme health benefits and things like that. But what's funny about this is when I was doing research on this, I found out that there used to be a vehicle that would come round to your gaff, to your house, and then they'd put tubes all through the windows, and you just go in and hoover it all up like this, which I found very funny. Very, very funny stuff. Horse and cart, as always. Amazing houses in the background, and a little bit of tech, but we ain't got a clue. You can see, and another one they did was they had fixed systems in the house, so they were called Arco, and they'd have it in the bottom, so you'd have like a vacuum sump pump at the bottom, and you'd have tubes in the cavity walls. Basically, you can see here, you'll have tubes in the cavity walls, and what they'll do is they'll be connected to the Arco, like here. So you just connect the tube to the wall, and then boom, 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 you've got all the stuff up, and you go and empty it down in the basement. Empty it when you're in the basement later on, or maybe after a month. But here's one of the machines from back in the day. And these are the connections in the houses. So in each room you'd have, like in the front room, you see at the bottom here, you've got 3 connections at the bottom here, and another connection here. So it's all very interesting stuff. Again, you have the old vacuum cleaner here, and it's being used to blow dry a woman's hair through an electric toaster. And it's incredible. Look, wooden box, section view of heating box. Yeah, it's quite mad what sort of tech was about back then. Very interesting stuff. So drying the hair with an electric toaster and an electric operated vacuum cleaner. God. But this is the main one now. This is quite special, and if anyone does research, please, I couldn't find much on this, but we'll have a look and see if you can help me out. This illustration shows our flexible nozzle or carpet sweeper sucking up a thick layer of flour from the carpet, the flour having been put there to easily demonstrate the efficiency of our hydro silent vacuum dustbin man. Did you hear that? Hydro vacuum. All you have to do is to move the carpet sweeper over the part to be cleaned, and the dust disappears through the flexible tube, which is connected to the suction pump of our machines by a neat hose coupling in the hall. No machinery or moving parts required, just attach the water main. Any child can operate it. Full particles from the machinery exchange, and this is in Auckland. So that's quite interesting, and it's also, what's interesting about that is people are going to be sitting there doing their nut, because I've done a video not long ago about electricity from the kitchen tap, and everyone was going mad, it's a waste of water, it's a waste of water. What people don't, what I understand is now that I can see when people watch my videos and don't take the information in, or they watch it and then stop it and then comment. Because I've made the video, I can see where they've got up to, and I can see what they've missed. Now what they missed when I was doing the electricity from the kitchen tap, right? And it's the same here. There used to be a hydraulic pumping system in all major cities, okay? So in London, there was a hydraulic pumping system. So all the factories in London, all their machinery would be connected to this hydraulic system, this hydraulic mains water system. So water would come along at a high pressure through the pipes and into the factories, or into certain houses, people that had a bit of cash that could connect to these things, and they'd power the appliances that are designed to be run on hydraulic water. So when I did a video on electricity from the kitchen tap and people started commenting, no, it's a waste of water, you clearly didn't watch the rest of the video. Anyway, no problems, it's all gravy, it's all love. It's all love. Anyway, that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you've seen some stuff you haven't seen before. And I hope to see you join us in the Patreon to show a bit of love. Add us on Instagram. And like I said, if you've got stuff to share with me, please, a lot of my emails go into spam. So if you want to share something with me, more personal than an email, send it to the Telegram. And we can all have a chat in there and talk and bounce stuff off each other. That's what I want to do, but until I get a good couple of hundred people in there, I'm going to just keep building it up. So, I hope you enjoyed, guys. One love. Take care. And be lucky. Ta-da!